Hey there, how's it going? Have you have you interviewed an intern before? And are you thinking about having an intern? Because that's maybe a better question. It's hard to believe, but most interns are actually looking for an internship in a couple of months, thinking already about next summer. I know, right? Like, it's hard to believe, and it's hard to think that, like, I don't know about you, but I'm having a hard time thinking about like what's happening next week, let alone like next summer. But interns are already thinking that. And so if you are thinking you want to hire an intern sometime for next summer, it would be great now to start thinking about like what kinds of things should you be looking for in an intern, and what could you have an intern help you with, and which ultimately leads to like how do you hire an intern and how do you do interviews, especially when somebody maybe doesn't have the professional experience that other people you've hired before in the past have. A really important thing to ask interns when you are interviewing them, or even Gen Z for that matter. It could be interns, it could be just somebody who's fresh out of school, but asking situational based questions. That's a mouthful. So that's questions like, tell me about a time when blah, 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 blah. You dealt with the difficult clients. You were challenged in a way that you didn't expect. Tell me about a time that you failed. This is really important to ask because it allows your candidate to think beyond just like a previous job, right? So sometimes people are going to come to you to do internships, and they maybe have like worked at a pool, they've worked at a restaurant, they've babysat, maybe they haven't had a formal job before, and they've spent a lot of time on teams with like sports teams and doing traveling and having to prepare for that on top of just like being a team member, which that in and of itself is like not a small thing. And so all those different experiences, when you ask the situational based questions, allow you to learn more about the candidate, but without just like focusing on previous job experience. It can tell you more about like their decision making skills. You can get a sense of like how they handle conflict, how they make decisions, how they process information. All those things are going to help you just like determine who's the best candidate to hire. One time you can also ask questions that are completely unwork related, like what is your superhero power if you could have one? What is, like, if you were an animal, what would your spirit animal be? How many ping pong balls could you fit into a 747? That's more about like, you're not looking for an exact answer, and if you ask that question you should make sure to tell them that. But again, you're looking more at their like problem solving skills and like how do they tackle a really big problem. The other two questions about like superhero powers and animal like alter ego, that also tells you more about their personality, and that's a question they might not be prepared to answer. And so you might get more of an authentic response, whereas other questions they might have sort of like rehearsed and prepared answers, or they know that there's like a professional version of what they should say, and like maybe like the true version of them. Not that they're different, but you might get more of like a look at like who the person is. One of my favorite questions I was once asked in an interview was, if you could be any song, what would it be? Or if like any song could sort of like capture your essence, what would it be and why? And that's a really fun question to ask and to answer. But also, if you are a student watching this, it's also good to know that A, this is what people could be asking you, but also B, making sure that you are, if you get asked a question in an interview and you're not quite sure and it catches you by surprise, it's okay to say that, but then just like make sure to answer. Because we asked that question, what's your favorite, what song, before, and we had somebody who was just like, I'm not answering. And we were like, do you want to think about it? No, just not answering. Okay, well, then that was very awkward, but it also just sort of like, we weren't trying to like poke fun at anybody, just like want to know. Because for us, and as you are hiring interns, you want to make sure that the person's going to fit in with your team and with your culture, workplace culture, and that they're bringing something maybe new or different or interesting, or just like bringing a different perspective to your group. And that's really important. And sometimes you can't get to that unless you start asking some of those more open-ended, non-traditional interview questions. All right, well, I hope that this is helpful for you. Make sure you're tuning in the upcoming weeks. We've got more content coming about how to hire interns, as well as more class content, which I'm super excited about, to deliver for you, both in how to train interns, but how to help yourself as a small business owner to perhaps get you ready for hiring an intern. All right, times are weird. Remember to take care of yourself and other people, and take a deep breath. We're going to get through it. Keep rocking, and I look forward to seeing you back here soon.